Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have an awesome video for you guys. This is the mother-in-law tag slash mother-in-law Q&A. This video is also a collab with one of my all-time favorite Instagrammers slash bloggers out there. Her name is Andrea from ThatJewishWife, and if there's one word I could use to describe her, it would be hysterical. You guys, she's so funny. I absolutely live for her Instagram stories, and if you're new to my channel from her stuff, then welcome. My name is Marian. I make videos about being a Jewish mom and minimalism with kids, so definitely hit the thumbs up button if you like this video, and subscribe to my channel down below.
Well, okay, we are talking about MILs, mother-in-laws. If you're married, you have one. They're all fabulous in their own way. So today, That Jewish Mommy Life and I are gonna dive in a little deeper to what it's like. We're gonna ask some questions that you probably wanna know. So, we'll get started.
So yeah, let's jump in. So I've got a bunch of questions on my phone here to answer for you guys. One of the reasons I wanted to make this video is because I know mother-in-laws just like get a bad rap. I actually have a wonderful relationship with my mother-in-law. We're really good friends. I know we annoy each other sometimes. She honestly is a really good mother-in-law, and I like to think I'm a good daughter-in-law, but I think it does take time to work on that relationship with each other, and I also think it takes effort and like a genuine will and passion to have a good relationship, because I don't think it's the easiest thing in the world to just happen naturally. So that's why I want to answer these questions with you guys and just kind of talk about like our relationship and how it worked out.
Okay, question number one. When did you first meet your mother-in-law, and what was your first impression? Okay, so I met my mother-in-law for the first time because my now husband and I were on a date, and people in his family kept texting him about setting him up with girls, and I was like, no, we are together. So then a week later, he told his parents, and I first met them at an Italian restaurant. She was so fabulous, came in fur, head to toe. I was scared out of my life. Frightening, especially when you marry into a foreign family with a really tight-knit culture. It was chill. It was really chill. Thank goodness his little sister came. And it was so funny because everything was going great, and then she looks at me and she goes, "Do you color in your eyebrows?" And I was like, awkward. But yeah, I mean, first impressions were tough. I think I was the first girl they ever met. We played 21 questions. They wanted to know where everyone in my family was from, if I went to Hebrew school, what my Hebrew name was, what languages my parents speak, when did my grandparents get to this country. But it was good. It was really funny. So we all keep semi-kosher. We were at this Italian place. There's one thing on the menu we could all eat. And I think it was a Caesar salad with salmon. So yeah, that was the first time I met them. What about you guys? Do you think back on that?
So I met my mother-in-law just a few weeks after I started dating my husband. I thought it was really soon. I was a little bit like, oh my gosh, is it too soon to meet or whatever? But what I actually realized looking back at that now is that my husband and his parents are just super close. Like, he's such a family first guy. So I think in his mind it wasn't so much like, I'm going to introduce her to my mom. It was more just like, this is my life. I see my parents a lot. So yeah, I was definitely nervous. I was more nervous. I'm like, what should I wear? Like, should I bring flowers? I think I actually did bring flowers, I think. But yeah, and I'm sure I was super awkward and weird. But I think it was like, everything was just really new. And of course I wanted to make a good impression on. But the thing I remember most is just thinking like, wow, these people are totally normal. Like, my parents are from South Africa, so often like they're just a little bit different than like typical American parents. So I think my very first impression was like, wow, normal American parents, cool.
Is your mother-in-law a typical Jewish mother-in-law? Now, it's going to be a yes if, one, She constantly feeds you every time you're around. You will always be hungry. You can't say no because it's impolite. And the cooking's amazing, so you want to say yes. That means typical Jewish mother-in-law. How else to tell if she's a typical Jewish mother-in-law? She feeds you? Did I mention that? I think food is the epicenter of like all mamas. I think it's a big thing when it comes to our Jewish mamas. So that's really important. I definitely know mine is a typical mother-in-law. Actually, I know its whole family and every woman in there is a typical Jewish mother because it's always about food and where are my grandbabies? Yeah, I would say yeah.
What was your first fight? So I want to say it was when we were wedding planning. I don't really remember us fighting before that. I don't think I really would have fought with my mother-in-law, you know, before we were actually like engaged. I don't think I would have felt comfortable with that. But I don't think there was one thing specifically, but it was a lot of like going through my husband. Like she would say one thing to him, I'd say one thing to him, and it was like a conflict. And it was about really stupid things. Like I remember, I don't know, like the look of the flowers or the look of the dress or just silly things that if we were just communicating with each other would have been totally fine. So that I think was definitely our biggest first fight. And the way it resolved itself was my husband was just like, I'm done. I'm not getting in the middle of you two. You need to talk to each other. And when we actually spoke to each other, we obviously were like a lot nicer and kinder, and like we were just like two normal people that were like, okay, I want this, I want that, let's figure it out.
When was your first fight with your mama-in-law? I actually, no, haven't had one yet. Baruch Hashem. No. All good in my hood. Okay, we are still rolling with the mama-in-laws. So we are going to talk about how you keep it positive with the mother-in-laws. I think this goes for both sides, you, your spouse, your partner. Even if you're dating someone, these are good tips depending on like how far your relationship is. I definitely recommend a few phone calls, texts now and then. I think flowers are a great thing. I know your mother-in-law will never replace your mom, so it's not one of those relationships that, you know, I call my mom's like, why do you keep calling me? And then I'm always like, why do you keep calling me? It's definitely, I don't have that relationship, but I always think like you want to welcome your in-laws all the time. Birthdays, you know, try to see them as much as possible. So yeah, I mean, it's family, and family's never easy, but family will always be there. So it's definitely one of those things that you got to put some elbow grease into to make it, you know, to make it your family. Because I know at first sometimes it's a little awkward, especially right after the wedding, because you're not so comfortable all the time and like this is your new role. But definitely like you have to do what's right, and you always have to remember to be honest. Like at the end of the day, honesty will get you far, and family's forever.
I would say our relationship now is better than ever, I think. I know my mother-in-law being super close to my son just makes me really happy. And I think having a son just really clarified for me how important it is to have a good relationship with my mother-in-law, because I always think about like when he grows up, you know, like what's the lesson I'm setting for him, and like how to respect your parents, how to respect your in-laws, that sort of thing. So I really want to be a good role model for him and show him that family is important and the benefits of having family close by. And that's all new for me because, like I said, my parents are from South Africa, so a lot of like our family growing up, grandparents, cousins, etc., never lived close by. So it was all really new for me. And now me and my husband have been married almost 5 years, and my son's almost 2. So yeah, I just feel like now is kind of the best time. We've worked through differences. We've learned how to fight, if that makes sense. We've learned how to argue in like a constructive way. Yeah, we see each other, like I said, all the time. She helps me out so much. She's helped me out so much after I gave birth and like was really struggling with my health and everything. So like I think we learned how to ignore our differences and focus on like building a really positive relationship to have a positive family experience together.
Okay, so this is definitely a tricky one, but what advice do you give to someone who has a difficult MIL? Which, if you haven't caught on, means mother-in-law. Okay. The advice that I would give to someone, you gotta keep it positive, and I think you always have to remember that it's your partner's mother. So the best advice my mom ever gave me was, you know, you can kind of say whatever you want about your family, but you can't say whatever you want about your partners. Because at the end of the day, you really do have to hold on to the highest respect, because they birthed him or her or they, and it's respect. And I feel like a lot of the times as the woman of the house, you know, like we hold this, you know, the bricks of this house together, and family is the second aspect of that really holds it together. So you have to remember, it doesn't matter how hard things get with your mother-in-law, she gave you your partner. She is the reason you found love, you know? So at the end of the day, you still have to thank them for bringing you the person that you admire the most, which is your spouse.
So my heart really goes out to people who struggle with their mother-in-law, because I think sometimes there's not always an easy answer. Sometimes as a daughter-in-law, you're doing everything right and everything you should be doing, and the mother-in-law either just like feels like you're not good enough, or genuinely misses the relationship she used to have with her son, or had something else in mind when he got married. So I think the best thing you can do for yourself is just not let it affect the relationship with your husband. Don't make it a me versus your mom type of thing as much as you can. I think focusing on trying to change her probably isn't going to work, so all you can do is try to not let it affect your own happiness. Like, you're in charge of your happiness, and just explain to your husband that you don't want it to be her versus you, etc. I think that's just going to lead to a lot of negativity, so try to keep it separate. You know, you're in her relationship separate from you and your husband's relationship. Like, you don't need another reason to fight, basically.
We're literally on a roll. Like, we're giving you more advice than anyone would ever give you right now. Just letting you know. Subscribe to That Jewish Mommy Life and follow That Jewish Wife, because you need this, honey. You need this advice. Okay, our next question is, are you a good daughter-in-law? Okay, obviously I'm a fabulous daughter-in-law. Duh. But on a real note, I think I've said this before, like, I think it all boils down to respect, especially, like, if they're in your home or you're in theirs. Always just keep an open mind. I definitely try to be really respectful of my husband's culture, because I know it's really important to them. So wherever I can or however I can learn, I'm always trying to incorporate different aspects of that into our home and into our family, just so, like, everyone's, you know, the most comfortablest. Is that a word? Comfortable? The most comfortable? Just because I know, you know, change is always difficult, and I think that the more open that one person can be and the more respectful you are, things always go smooth. And I think I do good at that. Besides the fact I'm hilarious, I do great.
How are you a good daughter-in-law? I hope I'm a good daughter-in-law. I definitely try to be. The way that I'm a good daughter-in-law is I try new things that I wouldn't otherwise try if not for my mother-in-law. So my mother-in-law is way more social than I am, and she just likes different things than I do. So I really try to, you know, when she wants to hang out with me or do something together, I always say yes. Actually remember, like, we drove to the beach. I think me and my husband were engaged at the time, but it was like a 3-hour drive there and back, and we spent the night there, and like, it was just a thing that like I normally would never have said yes to, like with anyone. I'd be like, no, I'm staying home, like I don't know this, like what's going on, you know, but it was like I say yes.
Our next question is one that I find really interesting, and it's, do you think your relationship with your mom or your biological mom, whatever you want to call it, will always be stronger than your mother-in-law's? So I definitely know my relationship with my mom will forever be incredible. I don't think anyone will replace that. I also feel like I'm not as open into finding those motherly relationships because I have such strong connections with all of the women in my family that I kind of hold back sometimes. But I definitely, I think that, well, I have no idea because I don't have kids, but I think that once you know, your in-laws become grandparents, I feel like relationships open up because you really, like, first of all, I just feel like you're stressed out all the time, especially after that thing pops out. You need all the support you can get. But it's really interesting. Like, I feel like sometimes I'm like, but I have my mom. I definitely think, like, you can work both in. I also think it just depends on, like, your personal relationship with your mom as well.
I think, yes, there's always that shared history me and my mom will have, and those, like, we just know each other so well. I feel like we don't even really have to say anything. We know exactly what's on each other's minds. And my mom, like, calls me out on stuff. She just knows me so well. She'll always, like, get right to the truth of the matter. Whereas I think with my mother-in-law, there'll always be a level of, like, okay, don't push too much, you know, don't, like, cross that boundary. We want to maintain a peaceful relationship. So I feel like, yeah, there always will be that divide, but at the same time, I think that can be a good thing, because I think sometimes, like, with our own parents, we're the harshest, and, you know, I think maybe it's good that it's not the exact same relationship.
Okay, funniest story with your mother-in-law. Go.
Okay, I remembered a funny story with my mother-in-law. This one definitely sticks out in my mind. So we were at a family wedding, and me and my husband, I think we were engaged at the time, and I was, I think, just to give a little bit of background, a little bit of, like, excuses. I think that I was trying to lose weight for the wedding and was, like, really thin and not eating that much at the time, which was not good. And we were at a family wedding, and I think I was just, I don't know, like, stressed out probably because my wedding was coming up, and, like, you know, it was just craziness going on. And I remember it was a long drive to the wedding, and I hadn't eaten anything, and then the wedding took time, and then the cocktail hour started, and we were, like, taking pictures as a family, like, on the other side of the room, and we were right next to the bar. So I remember having drinks, and I remember not eating, and like I said, again, it was my fault, but I'm making excuses that basically I probably only had maybe 2 drinks, like, who even knows, but I definitely didn't have any food. And so right as the wedding got started, I got really, really sick, and I spent pretty much the rest of the night in the bathroom throwing up at the wedding, and my mother-in-law was embarrassed / trying to cover for me, so she was in the bathroom, like, flushing the toilet, because again, this wedding was, like, all family and friends that we knew, so she was, like, just trying to cover for me in the bathroom and, like, flushing the toilet and being like, she's fine, everything's fine. So yeah, that's definitely a really funny story with my mother-in-law, and yeah, that's probably a good picture of our relationship. Thankfully that has not happened again, but yeah.
Oh, you guys are amazing! Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm also really thankful to That Jewish Mommy Life for this collab. I hope you guys, like, actually get some lessons from it, or maybe this is just a space for you to vent, feel things out. Definitely leave your questions, comments, concerns in the bottom. Follow That Jewish Mommy Life on YouTube, and for everything That Jewish Wife, which is me, myself, and I, head over to Instagram. I promise to make you laugh and drool over my cooking. Yalla, bye!
So I hope you found this Q&A interesting and enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. And don't forget to follow Andrea as well. Alright, see you next time. Bye!